Hey guys, it's Eric Aniali again. Today the news isn't too good. It's Booma's Juke, the one I was doing. I hooked up to the cam and the crank sensor on because I was curious to see if after replacing the timing chain, if we could see a difference in the correlation. And the chain did jump a tooth, so I mean we should be able to see something on there that's different. And mainly what I want to see if that signal, if the cam signal isn't walking around. But the bad news part of it is, well, there's multiple bad news and a couple shining points. But the timing chain for it, I got the wrong timing chain from Rock Auto. There was two different ones for a Juke. I mean, if you're looking for a Nissan Juke, you have literally no way of knowing which chain you need until you get in there. Going by the SL, going by the VIN number, going by the engine, there's no way to tell. They have two chains listed. I got the more expensive one. It was a cheaper one. Of course, that's the one that failed. So, but they're both the same thing. The tensioner for the oil pump is the easiest way to give away the oil pump chain, but you can't see it till you take that front cover off, which is one of the good points. Is we did get a good front cover from YoshiParts.com. I'm going to flip it. That was just Yoshi's. This thing was $400 cheaper than the cheapest one on eBay. It was around $650, and we definitely needed it. We could see this coming from the outside. This is what the chain did to the inside of the engine. Really tore her up there. And on the outside, this is where the oil was coming from, right where you see that light coming through. So it really did a number coming down there. And the main reason of the failure was on the oil pan, there was a chunk of this in the oil pan. And then this just let loose. The chains, they're known to stretch. This is supposed to be, it's a 2014 Booma's Juke. Well, Nissan Juke. We call it, Aaron's mom, we call her Booma. So, yeah, we call us Booma's Juke. It's known for the timing chain to stretch. The stretching could have caused that. That could have caused the timing chain failure. This itself, who knows? But the main reason, the tensioner was out the whole way, so it was stretched and had a little bit extra room to move around. That was one part that was, I was hoping that was the extent of the damage from it moving around. But when you got a timing chain walking back and forth, you always got to be concerned about the block too. And this might be hard to get you guys a really good view in there, but I'm going to do my best. From up here, you could definitely see. What's Eric say? Enhance. No, enhancing nothing but the phaser there. You can see some of the where the chain just chewed its way. There's 3 spots there. That bottom one is the most concerning. That would be, I know this isn't, my enhance doesn't work as good as Erica's, but it did enhance for a minute. We could see how close that chain chewed through. It's almost through that galley there. So it did a number on it. Got it there. And then there's one, well, right there you could see that too. It actually got the corner of the head. So I thought it was a hole through a galley, but that's where the head is. Right there. So it got the block in 3 different places. So this block's junk, but it didn't go the whole way through. And for now, I mean, I have to put a chain on it just to get it out of the garage. And we're going to put it back together with a new chain on it and, see how long it lasts. That was a bummer. That was definitely a bummer. Because, she's had so much bad luck with vehicles recently. I was hoping for a win. But at least this will get her something running until she could get another good, dependable vehicle. The part from Yoshi, this front cover, I mean, this came in a Nissan box. It's exactly the same. The only thing I found is instead of number 6, the one on it's number 5. But all the numbers match. That's probably his factory or something. But this is very nice. Arrived, I mean, actually, it overpacked. This was $200 and I believe $25 compared to $650 on eBay. The shipping was $23, but that's not bad at all. It came EMS and it came very nice, very well packed. I mean, couldn't be happier with them. But if you have any parts, I know he does Kawasaki motorcycles. There's Toyotas, Nissans. It might not be all your Asian brands, but it's going to be a lot of them. And it's a great price. And if you got the time to wait, it was $400 cheaper for 10 days. I mean, that was a waiting chance we were willing to take. It's just a shame that the chain from Rock Auto, which is usually a little bit more reliable, but it's just this engine. You know, there could have been either one on it, and there's no way of knowing. There's no fitment guide. There's nothing. But another thing I do whenever I do a timing chain on everything, whenever I do number 1, I always put a bore scope on it. So I'm going to just put some of the images from the bore scope, and I'm going to add a couple in a minute because I just wanted to show you guys how filthy GDI, direct gas injection, is. It's kind of hard to show on the camera, but getting down there. I want to get a little closer look in there and show you guys the back end valves. You could already see that carbon building up on there. But I'm going to put the bore scope down there. And then I brought my laptop up, which is, you know, a rarity now that I use 8-scope. I don't bring the laptop up for much. I use the tablet to look up the schematics, all data, and it's my scope. So, I mean, this thing very rarely comes up to the garage anymore, which is a good thing. I mean, the less electronics you're moving around, the better, you know. So other than that, I mean, I was hopeful at first because, I mean, the top of the engine looked pretty good, pretty clean, looked like it was oiling good. And yeah, it was just whenever I got down. Once I got that cover off, still didn't really notice it. Was still hoping on the front cover, but once I got the chain off, that's when you're really seeing it. All right, guys, this is going to be put on hold for, I believe, about 2 days until the chain gets here, and then we're going to do that cam crank correlation again. Maybe if I use the Modus, well, I'm definitely going to do it on Modus and 8-scope, but I might do it on the Modus and just get a ignition signal, put a 3rd channel on. But the first one I did was just the cam and the crank. There was no sync. There was no ignition. That was just to see what's lining up on the cam sensor and the crank sensor. We didn't need an ignition for that. I was just trying to see if we could see a leading edge matching, anything like that. Just basically, you know, for exploration purposes, you know, just explore our tools. But now, whenever there's a new chain on it with no slack, I want to see if we see a difference in them. But then for the future, or, you know, any more of these I ever see, you know, if I had a cam crank correlation, it's a little bit better if you have the ignition event, fuel injector event, something to sync things with. But all right, guys, I'm going to put the, there was some footage I took. It was of the oil coming out. It was all silver, like somebody dumped a whole quart of moly in there. It was pretty ground up, but I didn't find no big chunks. So the oil pump was definitely squirting. Putting a new oil pump chain on it too. Get it back together. But I'll put some, you know, footage, bits and pieces I had that I took of this. It's not like a how-to video. It's just you guys have seen this car a couple times. You see me find the oil leak on it. I mean, you've seen the cam crank. We're going to see it the whole way through, but it's not an instructional. It's just going to be little tidbits of what I found in there. Anything, you know, as I look back on it, as I watch it again, if anything that sticks out of interest, I'll put on there. But I'm going to hook up the bore scope again and just go into the intake to show you how it is. So I'm going to put the footage on. All right, guys. Thank you. Quick little bit of insight on board cams. I got this one on Amazon. It was actually on clearance. I mean, it was like 20 some dollars. It's a pretty good camera. If you look at the reviews, you'll actually see Eric O from South Maine. He's in reviews. He did a review on this camera. It's actually discontinued, but they were still selling. It comes with like it's 25, 50 feet. I mean, you could go the whole way up an exhaust pipe, the whole way to the converter. But what's nice, or its limitation, is it does have dual cams. It has a forward-facing cam and it has a sideways cam. So you could see some valves, especially if the valve's open, you could see the back of it, see any deposits, anything like that. And I think I believe it was under 100 around Christmas, is the rail cam. This thing I've really been liking. I really enjoy this thing, and it's the type that the head actually spins around. That's how you could get views of the inside of the combustion chamber with the valves closed, open. It doesn't matter, because you see when you turn this, the camera itself turns straight up. That's pretty decent. That's mainly what I use to do the end cylinder. But that was the first one I used. It's pretty good. It'll get you a lot of good pictures. But I'll show you the images. I'll upload them to this. Yeah, I just have it set right into the intake, pointing at the valve. I just wanted you to see what it looks like on this end. The images are very good quality too, but that's pretty bad. It's hard to do with one hand, because usually you have to hold. You can see what I mean just by moving my finger. So moves in there. You can take a look around. That's what I took the other images with. But I'm going to record some. I'll show you the quality of the images that you get off of the laptop with this thing. I mean, it really finds some burnt valves for you. And like I said, I always make a habit, whenever I do a timing chain or anytime I get a plug out, especially with a timing chain, you have to take number one out to line it up anyways at top dead center. That's a great time to drop this thing down there. Just see what the piston walls look like, see what the valves look like. Gives you a good idea of the inside of the engine. It's pretty neat for the price. I like it. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that little montage of mayhem and self-destruction, but not really a big Nissan fan at the time. Yeah, never really was. My buddy John, you might have seen me working on his Mercedes. He had a Nissan Rogue. He ended up backing into his own truck with it, and he hit the collision center. Actually hit the collision center, and the airbags didn't go off. I guess you have to be a certain mile an hour, but shattered the impact sensor, shattered the radar. It has sonar and radar. It was the sensors behind the collision center, the impact sensor. I mean, he had to trade it in over it. He was in a $3,000 just to find the sensors, and I couldn't find them used nowhere. I wish I knew about Yoshi parts then. Maybe he could have hooked me up a little bit on them, but, you know, still, I mean, not a very big Nissan fan, never really was, but, you know, anything with a motor is good if you take care of it. But this one, whenever they give you weak metal to start with, man, that's self-destruction, 70,000 miles. That's pretty bad. It's really bad. Chrysler 2.2 would have got you further than that, you know, but I don't know, guys. There was no warranty out on it. There was recall rather. There's 2 recalls on it, both for the interior. It was like an actuator door and a power outlet, but, you know, we're going to put it back together, but I mean, this is YouTube. I don't want to show you part of a video without a conclusion to it. So the chain's going to be here Friday. Today's Wednesday, so I'm not sure what time it's going to get here Friday, but hopefully by end of the weekend, we're going to be running this again. We're going to be getting the cam crank correlation again. But yeah, coalition of cams and cranks. So that's going to be something. But get that, but like I want to do it with a sync, like I said, you know, use the 3 channels on it, maybe just for, you know, in case you get one of these things that you ever do have to look at again. Hopefully we're going to find a stretch chain by being able to see something walking around and moving on the oscilloscope. But if you get one of these and like again out of whack, or if you ever see one of these again, it's good to have the sync there. It's good to have the ignition. I couldn't do that with H scope, but I'm going to try it with the Modus, but we're going to do the 2 channel again with the H scope for sure. All right, guys, thanks a lot for sticking around. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Adios.